I am about to start this 6-month mission. I kind of said in the last episode that it was sort of a 7.5-month mission because I was starting now. But it occurs to me what I can be doing in this month and a half before January 2024, when technically the 6-month mission is meant to start, because I want to finish it at the end of... Did I say 2024? January 2024? Yes, I did. I meant January 2025. So basically when it technically starts in January 2025, I want to have 6 months worth of, ideally at minimum, weekly YouTube recordings. And it occurs to me that what I could be doing in this month and a half is making sure that I am as ready as I can get to do those 24 at minimum episodes from January to June, and make sure I do them smoothly and that I also keep my enthusiasm up. I tell you what, it was a scary thing this morning. It is just past 7 o'clock as I record this, and I had been telling myself all morning, let's sit down and let's batch a few episodes, and the procrastination bug did hit hard. I checked my email. I went on the web to see if an event I'm expecting to go to in a week or so is still actually happening. So there is that factor of just sitting bum down in chair, hitting the record button and doing the thing, which is a bit of a struggle in and of itself. So the point of the next month and a half, which I'm probably going to wind up doing weekly video recordings anyway, is what I call the Drydock. It's my aim to go over this virtual ship of mine and make sure that it is as space ready as possible, and that the shakedown cruise is nice and smooth for going live and making proper full content in January. Not that I don't consider this proper full content, but anyway. So I have been doing a few things in the meantime. Of course, I have been hitting YouTube. I would say I've been looking for advice, except YouTube's been kind of throwing it at me. I think it's picked up of recent from a couple of the videos that I've seen about over 40s, people suggesting that over 40s ought to be setting up a YouTube channel, and the fact that I then recorded and put an episode up last week. I think YouTube has kind of got the idea that right at the moment I'm in that phase where I am working on putting videos up instead of simply consuming them. There was a video that I am going to have to put a link to in the comments. Look, I'm actually pointing downward toward the comments. It feels like a bit of a, I don't know, wow, I'm actually doing this kind of thing. I are a real YouTuber, Dad, you know. Anyway, so I'll have to put a link to it, but Ali Abdaal, who is a premium quality YouTuber, helps people make their YouTube channels as awesome as possible, did put he put a few advice videos up, let's face it, but he did put one up where he talked about just getting started at the moment, making sure you get 3 videos done and posted, and at least that's you having your idea as to whether or not you are really keen on this thing, and then start seriously getting stuck into the process. I don't know whether I'm jumping the gun, but let's face it, I have done a few videos previously, even though I did make a note of this, hang on. 2014 to 2016 was when I was putting out videos semi-regularly, and when I say semi-regularly, I mean once every, 3 months, I think. So that's something I am definitely working on improving at the moment. Anyway, one thing he suggested is that when you are making videos for YouTube, when you are making a plan of the content that you're going to put up, focus on 2 things: titles and your thumbnail picture for each video. I'm just sitting here thinking, I wonder if the chair creak is going to be showing up in the video. I do have a can of WD-40, and I think rather than stop the video and go get it, then again, it would be kind of fun if I did just got up and got the can of WD-40. I'll be right back. Here we go. Let's see if this works. And the thing just came off the top of the damn can. Hang on one second. All right, the room now has this lovely smell of WD-40 and... okay, the creak is gone. That's a bonus. All right, so the main thing to focus on is the titles and the thumbnails. That will apparently drive everything else that you're doing, and you need to kind of start each YouTube video concept that you have from there. So that is something I think I'm going to have to work on. I did have an idea. What did I have for this thing? Title, How to Plan Content for a YouTube Channel. Seems a little bit vague at the moment. I feel like I don't have any answers immediately on that front. I'm kind of rambling on about this as I go. But I'll work on something. We'll figure that out. And I kind of had this idea for the thumbnail. Set up for YouTube success kind of as the banner. I don't know. Again, it feels a little bit more arrogant and over-promising. And I'd rather under-promise and over-deliver rather than over-promise and drastically under-deliver. Although I did have this idea of, having the YouTube logo in one of those big space dock frameworks from Star Trek and maybe me holding a wrench, which means I have the sneaking suspicion I'm going to have to buy myself a wrench. I don't think I have one at the moment. Yeah, I do feel like I need to give this channel a bit of an overhaul after God knows how many years since I last recorded it. One thing I have been doing so far is working out how to record the episodes. Just this morning, I was fiddling a little bit with Riverside, which if you've seen from the last video, there was that, am I pointing in the right direction? Up here, this corner. The left-hand corner as you look at it, which is my right, there was that little, created in Riverside watermark, which I had no problem with, except that it output in 720p, and I know my webcam here can output in 1080, so full HD. I'm pretty sure that's full HD. It's not Ultra or 4K, whatever they call it nowadays. And I wanted to see if I could get some full HD content for you folks, so at least it can be scaled down rather than looking dodgy at higher resolutions. I fiddled a bit with Streamlabs, which I have used previously when I was doing more live streaming and will probably use again once I do a bit more live streaming. The only problem was I couldn't work out how to get it to record in full HD. No matter what I tried, it still seemed to output in 720. So I am actually just using the Microsoft Camera app to do this recording. And as far as I'm aware, it is taking the audio from this lovely microphone that I've got here, rather than my laptop mic or the webcam mic. The tests that I did, the audio quality sounded great and not very tinny, which I would expect it would if I were doing from either of those mics rather than this one. So maybe there is a little bit of process that I can talk about there, just getting this thing recorded on your computer standard camera app rather than needing any fancy functionality, which I think is kind of the point. Just start off with where you are. But I will be getting to that. The main thing that I wanted to talk about is what I intend to do for this Drydock. So this is episode 1 of the Drydock, technically episode 2 of this overall YouTube channel. Do folks number their YouTube channel episodes? Probably not. I think they just, unless it's explicitly a podcast related item of content, then they just put it with their subject line and maybe the name of their show. But anyway, there are a few things that I wanted to cover in this Drydock and shakedown cruise before things kick off properly at the beginning of next year. And the topics that I've got for 6 shows, so that's 8 in total, plus this one and the one I did before. I want to ask myself Babylon 5's 3 questions. If you're not familiar with Babylon 5, it was a science fiction show that came out in the 1990s, right about when Star Trek The Next Generation was in its last few years. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I think, was coming out at around about the same time. And don't get Babylon fans started on that little argument. And as much as it was a science fiction show, there was, well, let's face it, hopefully that's kind of the point of science fiction, is that as much as it is technical and about the sleek features and cool machines, which I love, it's also about asking some pretty hefty questions. And Babylon 5 is based around three of them. Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? And part of the show's point was that you have to ask them in that order of yourself. You have to know the answers to the first one before you can get to the second one, and then the second one before you can get to the third one. If you try and answer them out of order, you are going to wind up with a life likely filled with self-generated crises. So that one I want to do, and I think I will actually do it outside. The next one, I want to talk a little bit about this video log and also the newsletter that I put out on a weekly basis. They're both kind of focused on my life and particularly what I'm discovering online. I like to mention in those episodes the things that I'm discovering by venturing out into the wilds of YouTube, the videos that I'm seeing, and possibly I might even do reaction videos for the sheer fun of it, and just see how that comes out. I think that's where Streamlabs is going to come in handy, because that at least allows me to do the things where I can have the reaction video in the main, the video in the main view, and then my head off down to one side. I mean, it's pretty much geared that way for video game streaming anyway. And speaking of streaming, the next episode will be me looking at the ideas that I have about doing a live stream as well. At the moment, I'm thinking Twitch rather than YouTube, just because I have a profile on there anyway. I'm a little bit used to the way Twitch does things. And streaming is going to be me indulging in video games. The main thing that I'm thinking about is what I call the Hunt for a Hercules challenge. There's a video game called Star Citizen, which you can play, even though it's still technically in alpha right at the moment, so it's likely to be very buggy. And one of the things I want to do is work out how I can get my hands on a particular starship within that game. It's called the Crusader C2 Hercules Starlifter. And I have been keen on Star Citizen because the people behind it were a few of the folks behind the old Wing Commander games back in the 1990s, and particularly Wing Commander Privateer, which was a game that I loved, all about having your own starship and venturing out into space and kind of choosing how you wanted to be a guy in space with the starship earning money. Whether you were a mercenary, I think you could kind of be a pirate. I'm not sure how well that was supported, but I think the main avenues were be a mercenary or be a cargo hauler and or a trader, where you could actually buy goods on particular planets or space stations for a price and then take them elsewhere and sell them. I kind of want to get that experience back a little bit, and I am keen to see whether or not Star Citizen can give me that. I also want to spend an episode talking about podcasting. It's been something that I have been trying to get back into for the last few months. I recorded 6 episodes of what I call the Equal First podcast before I kind of realized that the focus of it was still a bit murky, and I wanted to narrow down a bit more. So I want to spend an episode talking a little bit about where I want my focus to be and the kind of people I want to get, because for me, podcasting is all about conversations. I love the fact that I can talk with people around the world about a specific subject and not just interview them, but also through chatting with them, share a little bit more about me and find common ground with them, and hopefully it meaning that you in the audience will find common ground. That's the real power of this medium. It lets people in on the conversations that they wouldn't otherwise be able to hear, and really normalize pretty hefty, lofty concepts, even ambitious concepts that most of us kind of feel are outside of our realm of experience and impossible for us. If we actually see real human beings talk about them in real human being conversations, it helps us believe that it's possible for us. Very powerful thing. And yeah, I'm kind of keen to make podcasting part of this 6-month mission of exploring the digital frontier. Then I want to talk about outfitting. I kind of talked about it a little bit a few minutes ago about the kit that I currently have to make all this stuff happen, and also the processes that I intend to use and even work out as I go. How am I going to make sure I do all of this smoothly and that it fits into my weekly schedule between the day job and looking after my dog and doing all the other things I want to do, you know, like make sure that I'm in health and that I'm getting out and hanging out with people. Then finally, I've got what I call the shakedown, which is where I review all those episodes, kind of summarize the specifics that I talked about, and kind of see where I'm at in order to put the ship into warp and go into interstellar space as of the beginning of January. So, folks, I am hoping that you will stick with me for these topics as I discuss them, that you'll find something interesting, and in the meantime, please, if you've not done so already, I would appreciate your like on this video, even a dislike if you didn't like it. Comment down below, comment as you feel, comment as honestly as you can. I appreciate your feedback, and any comments help the channel grow, although I would much prefer ones that come from honesty and a place of genuine connection. I'd like to hear from you meaningfully, and your interactions will help YouTube see this as a channel worth growing and getting in front of more eyeballs. And as it gets more attention, it will help me do a greater variety of things, or perhaps even focus on a bit more and just improve the show's quality so that you are getting a product. I hate saying product, but you are getting videos that interest you and help you and entertain you more thoroughly than these early efforts do. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and have a good time in the meantime. Rob signing off.